Africa. We know that as African universities, as universities in Africa, it is up to us to get ourselves out of the pit that we are in, or whatever circumstance we have been faced with. We know that COVID came with a lot of challenges, but also with a lot of opportunities. Perhaps if there hadn't been COVID, we wouldn't be sitting here to discuss these issues. But I know that we are all here to see how best we can promote e-learning in our respective universities. And at RUFORUM Secretariat, it is our appreciation and understanding that e-learning will be key for the future of higher education in Africa, notwithstanding the challenges that COVID has brought. And I know that this discussion today will highlight all those issues today, and for the whole week. We'll highlight those issues that you want to listen a little bit more. We need to be a little bit more candid, and we need to open our minds a little bit wider. I know that the team that we have of facilitators, our facilitators from EdTech, are very brilliant facilitators, and they know a lot about e-learning, but we also know that you in your own capacities also know a lot. So it is a joint learning process. Please open your minds and learn from them. We want to thank EdTech, Prof. Lubega, who broke the silence even as we are keeping quiet. Thank you for coming in. We also welcome all our other colleagues from EdTech to take us through this process. I want to thank you and plead that you open your minds to listen. The good thing is it's not linked to any platform, but it is an open e-learning content development course. And I know it will be beneficial to us all and the universities that we represent. We at RUFORUM are very proud that we are having this, and it will be the first in a series of events that we're going to organize as far as e-learning and ICT in agriculture and education are concerned. Please feel free to continue with this engagement, and I hand you over to Prof. Jude and Prof. Mirembe to continue with this engagement. I thank you very much, and I do bring you greetings from Professor Adipala Ekwam, who hasn't been able to be with us, but I think during the course of the week, he will be able to join us. Thank you very much. Over to you, Jude.
Thank you so much, Dr. Florence. There is me, right to take it on. Colleagues, I would want to really welcome you for this training. Thank you for sparing your time to come and learn. You'll be able to unlearn and relearn new ideas in this era of digital education. I have with me colleagues that will be working with me the rest of the week. And I'm going to request them to briefly introduce themselves so that you will get to know when you see some names there, yeah, you can easily reach out to any of them and they should be able to help you. So I'm going to request them to introduce themselves since they are adults above 18 and they have a mouth to speak. Please. Greg, can you take it on from there? Very brief introductions from EdTech, please. Are they with me? Are you there?
I'm around, Prof.
Please go ahead, take it on.
Good morning, members. My name is Joseph Luevuze, e-learning officer from EdTech Consults Limited. Thank you. I'm happy to be part of this team, and I hope by the end of the training, we shall have gotten the best for our institutions to be able to move forward post the pandemic. Thank you.
Who is next? Let's move forward very fast. Don't want to waste more time. Admin ATEC, I can see you there. Please. Fiona, I can see you there. Who else?
Yes, good morning, members.
Morning.
My name is Fiona Nyanzi-Nambogo, Business Manager ATEC, and I'm glad to be part of this training as well. Thank you.
Okay. I see John Paul, you are there. I can see Zubi, you are supposed to be there. I can see Drake, you are there. Okay. People have resorted not to, the problem with the e-learning sometimes that you may think that somebody is there right in front of the screen, but when it is the screen in front of itself. Okay, let's take it on. Colleagues, I'm going to be sharing with you a program that we are going to be utilizing the whole of this week. And I'll share the screen. So this is what we are going to be involved in. Today, we'll start with the actual basics, the pedagogy that we need. It is one thing to start developing content, but it's another developing it with the right principles in mind. So we wanted to take you through the basics, the right principles that you need before we dive into the actual content development. So you realize that the past 2 days, we'll be starting at 11 and we'll go on into the afternoon, as you may see. In the afternoon also, we shall be having first steps to effective e-learning that will bring in the real basics of what we really need to have before we start developing content. And then we shall move into an actual evaluation of a course that you're already having, or a module that you're already having with you. And then because we are using a learning management system to present to you all the content you're going to be using, we shall be able to take you through a learning management system called 8 Learning, where you'll find all the content that we are using for the training and some of the case studies, forms that you'll be utilizing for the session. So here, we'll take you through a practical session on you'll have to be given accounts, you'll have to log in, and you'll find all the content there. So somebody will take us through this session later in the afternoon today. And then we allow you to go into individual practice using one form of that kind. That form is already also online, which you can utilize. And then day 2, we'll jump into effective e-learning content design using the learning object concept. So this is a concept, a renowned concept across the world that is being utilized to develop content, but you really need to understand it before you use it. So when you have the tools and expertise to digitize that content, you should have already put it in a form that can be digitized. And that form will be the learning content so that it's reusable and shareable across the different platforms and the different operating systems. So we'll get you through that second day. And then in the afternoon, we'll jump into the actual start of developing content using some of the available open source tools that are out there. There are several of them out there, but we'll pick on one so that you can be able to master that, utilize the content you've already designed using the learning object concept. Now get into the actual implementation of this content by using a tool called EXE to be able to translate now this into digital content. So that is day 2 in the afternoon. It will be some good hands-on. So you need to have a laptop or a computer with you to be able to do that. And then we allow you to go ahead and practice using that software. Then day 3, we dive into another form of developing content using now multimedia. Because today we see multimedia really trying to break the ice, trying to explain concepts that would not be explained properly by the normal human being. So we would want to dive you into that. How do you develop multimedia sort of content, even if it's small types of content, but how do you do it? So the whole of Wednesday, it will be real hands-on in that area. We shall take you through different tools, small tools, which some are open source and all that, but they are very, very important when you're creating content. So people may think that content is all in sorts of only text, but no, there's content in form of multimedia, which is becoming more popular and popular. Then therefore, we'll get you into the actual, when you're developing content, it's not only the text, it comes with a lot of activities. So these tools we are using digitally have a lot of technologies that can be embedded onto the content so that learners can know better, can learn better. And therefore, we shall take you through some variety of online tools using one of the known learning management system. And we see how they can supplement the content we have created so that you have a comprehensive learning environment that the student is using. So it's not only creating the content. You can have very good content, but does not impact. So how do we get this developed content also embedded on with other tools so that it can impact on the students? So that's what we shall do in day 4. And then we shall end day 4 with online assessments, digital assessments. We shall take you through the open book, and then we shall take you through other forms of assessments that we can tap into to see that we assess our students digitally. I know many of our institutions have been grappling with this, how to do it. So probably you'll get some of the skills on how to do this. Then day 5, we shall now go into the actual assessment of you if you are able to learn within the 4 days. We shall allow you the morning hours 11 to 1 for you to be able to develop course content to completion and embedding all what we should have taught you in the past 4 days. And even go to the extent of developing an online assessment for students for your specific course you'll be teaching or your module you'll be teaching. And then afternoon, we do the wrap up and an evaluation, and then you can call it a week. So ladies and gentlemen, that's how our week will go. And it's going to be full of excitement, a lot of personal hard work, and a lot of learning from each other. We, the trainers, are learning from you, the participants. At this point, I would want to stop sharing the screen. And if there is any person who has a question, probably we can get the question now, or else we dive into what has brought us here today. Is there any question from the program that we just provided? Yes, somebody is saying we should record. Yes, recording is I think already on, and it's also already live on YouTube. So we should be able to get it even. Oh, I was lying to you. Okay. Thank you for alerting me on that. But on YouTube, it is already there, and the recording on YouTube will be there. Okay. Anything, or we take it on? Somebody is asking, shall we receive the presentations at the end? On the e-learning systems, the presentations are already actually there. So when you are able to access the e-learning system, you should be able to get all the presentations for this training for the 5 days. So they are already there, and even the different forms we are going to be using. But because we are going to use a mode of what we call the iPush, we shall be simply pushing for you content each day. So we don't want you to come and attend one day, download all the content and go away and don't return for the training, and you assume you have acquired the skill. No, the day we are training you, we release content for that. The day we are training you, we release content for that. So that's how we are going to take it on.
Hello.
Yes, please.
My name is Mwenjeri from Kenyatta University in Kenya.
Yes, please.
Now, according to the program you released, you are to edit at 2. I don't know.
I did
now,
what?
according to the program that you had released using the information you gave us,
yeah,
I could see it was about to end at from 11 to 14 East African time.
No, it's 4:30. It was a mistake, and we apologize for that, because that would mean that it's only 2 hours training to be able to cover all this, which would not be really substantive content.
I really agree with you. It's only that now it has really disorganized our plan, like planning, because we still have other issues that we had pushed in the afternoon, but it is okay.
We apologize.
Thank you.
We apologize.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, please.
I'm wondering, you have said that already if you have access to the e-learning, what do you mean? Is it for your university or what do you mean access to the, because I'm saying you said something if.
Can I explain?
Yes.
In the afternoon, you'll be introduced to a learning management system where you'll be given accounts to access the content for this training.
Okay. So you will give us access to your LMS. Okay.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And probably would want to request each and everyone attending, please indicate your right names so that we can be able to know each other better. Don't allow yourself to be either user or some name that we do not understand. For the good of the training, we request. Okay, before I take it on, this particular day, will be facilitating with my colleague, Dr. Drake Mirembe. Drake, are you there? Okay, he will come in. So when he comes in to explain further on several concepts, please, you know that he's the one. But not to take any more time, I would really want to dive into the first session, and I would want to proceed by sharing my screen again. Okay, and colleagues, I'm going to request that I switch off my video to better utilize our bandwidth well. I hope you allow me to do that, and I'll do it now. So ladies and gentlemen, I really want to welcome you to this training session. I know some of these concepts may not be new to some of you, but to some other people, they are new concepts. So since we did not test the capability of each one of you, would want to take it right from the basics up to the time when we have acquired the skill. Those of you who already have the skill can support each other in the group work and things of that kind as we go along. So colleagues, as you are aware, when we were attacked by COVID-19, the educational system across the entire world went into disarray. And the problem was that many of us were not prepared for what had come. We could not continue with the teaching because we had been disrupted. This disruption created immediately a paradigm shift within our educational systems. And again, institutions were not ready or had not planned for such a paradigm shift, which was very fast. We wanted our students to continue learning, but we did not know how to do it. Irrespective that for so many years, there was always a call for universities, for institutions to get online, to do e-learning, but they were challenged to get into that direction. And here COVID came, and we are required, all of us, to go and start using e-learning. We were not prepared. Our education systems were still stuck into the old way of doing things. And therefore, we could not move forward. As you, as a teacher who is attending today, you're very well aware that the critical success factor in successful and effective teaching and learning is the skill of you, the skill you have with you in creating environments that can combine learner support, on and offline activities and resources, and aids to stimulate what we call peer-to-peer collaboration and communication. So you see, when we're disrupted by COVID, a lot of this could not happen anymore. Our learners were displaced wherever they are. We're on the other side. Many of the teachers were what we call digital migrants. They were born in the era which they do not have technology, but now they are required to migrate into an era which utilizes technology. And therefore, they faced a lot of challenges. Many of our education, the course units, the modules we are teaching, we had planned them to teach them using the old-fashioned way of the traditional way of classroom, which does not require, which does not support peer-to-peer collaboration and communication when people are not in the same room. So here we got stuck. And now we have started a journey on how do we get out of that forever moving forward. I just want to take you through what our training has been, and therefore we need to change it.
There is a growing feeling today that something is wrong with our system of education. But what is it? Well, we send our children to school to prepare them for the real world, which is changing very, very fast. But our schools haven't changed much for hundreds of years. In fact, thought leaders from around the world agree that the current system of education was designed in the industrial age mainly to churn out factory workers. And this industrial age mentality of mass production and mass control still runs deep in schools. Industrial age values. We educate children by batches and govern their lives by ringing bells. All day long, students do nothing but follow instructions. Sit down, take out your books, turn to page 40, solve problem number 3, stop talking. At school, you're rewarded for doing exactly what you are told. These are industrial age values that were really important for factory workers. Their success depended on following instructions and doing exactly what they were told. But in today's world, how far can you get by simply following instructions? The modern world values people who can be creative, who can communicate their ideas and collaborate with others. But our children don't get a chance to develop such skills in a system that's based on industrial age values. Lack of autonomy and control. At school, our children experience a complete lack of autonomy and control. Every minute of a child's life is tightly controlled by the system. But in today's world, if you're doing important work, then you're managing your own time. You're making your own decisions regarding what to do and when to do it. But life at school looks very different. The system is sending a dangerous message to our children that they are not in charge of their own lives. They just have to follow whatever is laid down instead of taking charge and making the most of their lives. Experts believe autonomy is incredibly important for children. It's no wonder then that our children are bored and demotivated by school. Can you imagine how you would feel if you were told exactly what to do for every minute of your life? Inauthentic learning. Most of the learning that happens in schools today is not authentic because it relies on memorization and rote learning. The system defines a generic set of knowledge that all children must know. And then, every few months, we measure how much has been retained by administering exams. We know that such learning is not authentic because most of it is gone the day after the exam. Learning can be much deeper and more authentic. It can be so much more than just memorization and retention. But that's the only thing we measure, and test scores are the only thing we value. This has created an extremely unhealthy culture for students, parents, and teachers. Children are going through endless hours of tuitions, staying up all night memorizing useless facts that they will forget very soon. No room for passions and interests. We have an extremely standardized system where each child must learn the same thing at the same time in the same way as everyone else. This doesn't respect the basic fact of being human, that each of us is unique and different in our own way. We all have different passions and interests. And the key to fulfillment in life is to find your passion. But do the schools of today help our children find and develop their passion? There seems to be no room in the current education system for the most important questions in a child's life. What am I good at? What do I want to do in life? How do I fit into this world? The system doesn't seem to care. There are so many greatly talented people who failed in the traditional school system. Fortunately, they were able to overcome these failures, but not everyone can. We have no measure for how much talent, how much potential goes unrecognized in the current system. Differences in how we learn. Each of us is also different in how we learn, in how much time we take to learn something, and what tools and resources work best for us. But the system has no room for such differences. So if you're a bit slow in learning something, you are considered a failure, when all you needed was a bit more time to catch up. Lecturing. In the current system, children are lectured for more than 5 hours a day. But there are a few big problems with lecturing. Sal Khan from Khan Academy calls lecturing a fundamentally dehumanizing experience. 30 kids with fingers on their lips, not allowed to interact with each other. Also, in any given classroom, different students are at different levels of understanding. Now, whatever the teacher does, there are bound to be students who are either bored because they're ahead or confused because they're behind. Because of the internet and digital media, our children have at their fingertips all the information in the world. Technology has made it possible for anyone to learn anything. But for fear of losing control, the system is not leveraging these incredible resources. Our system of education, which evolved in the industrial age, has become outdated and ineffective. If we want to prepare our children for the modern world, if we want learning to be effective and engaging, then there's no doubt that we need to fundamentally change our system of education.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you've noted what is the big challenge with us. And it's clear, especially from problem 6, that if we continue delivering the way we are delivering, assuming that all boxes are boxes, and they are white in color, I think we have a problem. Through the use of technology, we can be able to better distinguish and provide for our students in the way they would want to learn. Using the content, using the available technologies or tools that can be used for the different purposes to deliver your learning, which you would have delivered in the same way if we are still within the traditional classroom. As you are aware, and as you noted, we have now moved off right from the industrial age learning to what we call the digital learning model. A model that we are now still trying to adopt within the COVID era, and which we are going to probably move with in the future. And therefore, it requires us to be able to clearly understand where we are coming from and where we are heading. We need to be able to understand, how do people learn in a digital environment? How do institutions teach within a digital era? Do we need new learning models if we are going to move from one model, the industrial, to the digital? And which ones are those? Are institutions ready for this? And probably this is why Reform comes in to try to bridge the gap by supporting lecturers, teachers out there to acquire some skill so that they can be ready to move into this digital age. Is it costly or worth it anyway? What do we benefit when we actually move from this industrial age learning model to the digital age learning model? If we are spending all this much, is it worth it? Is it bringing any benefits to the institution? Is it bringing any benefits to you, the lecturer, to the student? We need to ask ourselves such questions as we dive into the digital age learning model. These are all important before you actually get into the actual doing, so that when you're actually going to utilize a certain tool to help you in delivering a certain concept to the students, you know why you're actually using it. Even if it's at a cost, you know, I would rather incur the cost, but deliver the concept the way it needs to be delivered. So it is important for us to reflect about all this. The fact is that we have been able to move from this and headed into this. And I think you've seen many of your institutions have been sort of grappling on how to move and all that. But as I speak, even primary, secondary schools have sort of flipped and moved into the digital age faster than we had anticipated, because there was no choice. But now we need to move systematically and do it right. We are so much used to what we used to call the ivory tower, where everything was happening within a central place. The digital era does not allow that. We are in what we call the click and virtual towers now, that you are going to be able to deliver from anywhere at any time. This is why we are seeing several universities across the world are delivering to us degrees right within our countries as we are watching. So the models have clearly changed into what we have now today. Many of you are already practicing all this without probably your knowledge. And research has clearly shown us that where we are moving into the digital era, it's actually a better place than we thought. We're simply stuck into an old way of doing things, but when there is technology to support us in improving what we're originally doing. I just want to give you a bit of some samples here. That research has been done, and they've found that 76% of those who are using e-learning to deliver, they feel that there is more adaptation to diverse learning styles. Because once you have textual digital content, supplemented, for example, with a video, then you're sort of taking care of more than one diverse learning style. It is knowing how you embed the two together so that they can deliver the learning you really want to be delivered. We've also noted that 77%, those who are using e-learning, it boosts the students' motivation to come back and learn. As we shall see in some of the other slides, what are these benefits of really going online, going digital in terms of education? Also, it has been found that 76% where they are using e-learning, it enhances the materials being taught. That within your digital textual content, you can do quite a lot in there. You can do more than what you are supposed to do, because it is enhancing what needs to be done. So this is very, 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 very important for us to really get to understand that already research is showing there are better results when we move into the digital era. As members, you try to reflect about some of these other figures. I just want to give you just only a minute for you to look at all these statistics so that they can ground you and you able to understand that it's true. When we move into the different ways of doing things, we are getting better and better. Just a minute for you to reflect about this particular slide. Right. I think that's enough for us to reflect about this slide. There's it's loaded. What I can say, it's loaded. But colleagues, there are 7 sayings from Alvin and another person. The literate of the 21st will be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. I think those of you who are here, you are very good at creating content in the traditional way. The time has come for you to unlearn some of those things and learn new ways on how this can be done. So if you cannot have the skill to redefine the curricula you are using and use that appropriate pedagogy that is going to be given to you, supported by ICT, to create that environment that the student wants, this digital student wants, then you can't fit into the 21st century education system. I think it's time for us to clearly unlearn some of the certain things, learn new things going forward. I know many of you have been presenting this content in, for example, PowerPoint and all that. But one thing we really need to understand is that we need to stop thinking of technology in terms of nouns. PowerPoint, YouTube, all Twitter, but think about them in terms of verbs. How do I present my content? How do I share the educational resources I have with me? How can I communicate my content to the students out there? The how is very, very important. And that's where technology comes in to support you in doing so. It's not all about PowerPoint. YouTube is there, it has all good content and all that. But how do you communicate your message, your content through YouTube? That is what is important. And by the end of the training, you'll know where you can bring in YouTube to really support you in explaining further the concept that you were explaining using another resource. So ladies and gentlemen, this requires us to empower the teacher. We need to go away from this traditional way where we are pumping. The teacher was the God in the classroom. In the digital era, we do not have the teacher as a God. We have more of what we call student-centered learning, not teacher-centered learning. Today, you have kids who will be doing all sorts of things. One would want to even sit in the window, but continue to learn. One would want to go and sit under a tree, but continue to learn. We need to be prepared. We may be very brilliant lecturers out there. We have all our content, but we are unable to administer this content to the students. We are unable to deliver this content to the students. Just because you are stuck in a very different era, and the kids of today who are called the ghetto kids are within another era. So we need to move and shift. We need to come from this sort of teacher to this sort of teacher who has a lot of traits on them. They know how to flip the class based on a certain situation. They are lifelong learners, they can continue learning. They deliver student-centered way. They can engage students irrespective of where they are. They can collaborate with their fellow colleagues and deliver the same content collaboratively with other lecturers, and so on and so forth. This is what we really need to transform our teacher. And you who is attending today, you need to sort of now try to bring all these skill sets within you, so that despite that you have the good content, you put it in Microsoft Word and in PowerPoint and say, yes, you have all that, but can it really impact on the student? within the modern era? It may not. How you deliver the content is very, very, very critical. So we need to move and have that sort of teacher. You see that teacher who is loaded with all these digital, that whenever at a particular time they want to pull out anything, they will pull it out and be able to deliver in the best way they would want to deliver. So we need to support. It starts with us, the ones who are attending today. If you've been in a different era, there is no subject area that cannot utilize ICT to deliver. There is none. People have been talking about medicine and all that. We first started using technology in 2010 under the PANAF project, where we had a telemedicine component and I was leading the tele-education component. And we're using telemedicine to be able to teach right from India, and they're teaching students in Uganda, Makerere University. So you cannot tell me technology cannot deliver. If it's mathematics, are you sure it cannot deliver? You cannot deliver mathematics using technology? The answer is no. How do you do it? It's just learning the ability on how to do it. So we need our teachers to be equipped to fit the 21st century. So colleagues, I'm bringing all these basics so that they can prepare you when we go into the actual doing, you know why you are actually practicing that. You've availed your first subtopic of your content, and therefore the question is what? Are you simply going to leave your students there, not engaged in any way? And if you want to engage them, what do? Then you have the capability of pulling out a certain tool and use it to engage your students, irrespective of wherever they will be. Because you were equipped with the right skills to be able to do that. So we need to understand that e-learning is also changing. And therefore, we need to be able to clearly understand how it is changing. People have been talking about E as meaning electronic learning and all the sorts of work. It is changing, and it's actually changing more and more. How we look at it. So more definitions are actually coming on board, how we can define e-learning. I just want to give you a bit of an example here. E-learning, the E itself can mean engaging. Engaging learning. So you cannot provide e-learning if you're not going to engage students. You cannot provide student e-learning when you are not going to allow students to be enthusiastic about what they're studying. Learning that is going to encourage them to come back and continue with the learning and wanting to do more virtually, electronically. That will not be e-learning. Learning, which is about exchanging, that the students can be able to exchange between each other a variety of content. Students can exchange with their teachers a variety of content. This is what we want to have. Learning, which is about enriching. That within your content you've developed, digital content you've developed, you can go and find a very beautiful YouTube video that you can bring and enrich it with your digital textual content. And students have that enriched learning scenario or learning environment. Technology allows you to do that. Learning, which is about enhancing, that you can be able to explain a concept using an image illustration. You're enhancing the learning of that concept using something else. Learning, which is about extending that is no longer the ivory tower, but it's now the virtual tower, that you can be seated right at your home and be able to deliver to the students who are all over the world without any problem. It's about extending it beyond the physical classroom. It's that learning that is about empowering, that even the shy learners whom we regard to be shy within a physical classroom can come virtually and be able to learn without anybody's trying to deter them from learning. It empowers the girl child and so on and so forth. It's learning that is going to allow you to embed in whatever you want to embed in. Whether it's formulas, whether it's animations, whether it's whatever, it allows you to do that. It's learning that has to be entertaining. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are delivering content out there that is not entertaining to this digital learner of today, you are wasting your time. At the end of the day, students will not learn because it's not entertaining. You remember in the video we just saw, students are sleeping because it's that every time you come into class, you start talking and it's not entertaining. So as we venture into the e-world, we need to be able to deliver that learning that encompasses all this. Some of the things you'll do them unknowingly, but you'll be tapping in one or three of these things. So it's very, very important. So it is important to think and plan how you are going to deliver your online class. You have the digital content, the digital class you're going to offer. How is it going to be offered so that it avails you all this? Therefore, you need to plan effectively to deliver on that. The only thing we have with us is that many of us, even those who are attending today, we are just stuck in our memories. We just don't want to change because we are taught that way 20, 30 years back, and we feel it is the same way we can teach our students and the like. But then you did not have a computer. You did not have technology, but today you have technologies that the student is born just around technologies floating around themselves. So how do you expect that you want to learn the same way like this student? You will be deceiving yourself. So we need to change. We need to change. We need to understand that the era we are in has changed. We are within the 21st century. And therefore, it will require you to have less time looking in your rear view mirror. I know many of you have this mentality of the yellow paper. Somebody has content they developed 10 years back, and they continuously use the same all the time, 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 without changing. This is how I taught physics or mathematics 10 years back, and I have to continue teaching it the same way. I think what we need to have is having the road ahead of us. What is the vision? How do I want to offer to deliver to this digital student? I would want my vision to be this: deliver from anywhere, allow more engagement, and so on and so forth. Yes, we understand that we are coming from the traditional way of doing things, which had a lot of things that had been acceptable. That you had moderated consenting students and systems. Even the administrations, the universities were not so much caring. The staff know it syndrome, that I'm the only person who can deliver on this course. and therefore no other person can do so. Students were more of recipients, but now the paradigm shift has changed it to now student-centered rather than teacher-centered. You expected students to cram and pass, but now, as we dive into more of online examinations, where we require even students to their open book exams, we don't need students to cram. You are testing the actual understanding of the student. Did they understand when they were in class? And therefore, even if you allowed them to go and sit in a library, does not necessarily mean that they will find an answer to the questions raised. The systems that we had were not allowing us to reflect on the teaching and learning practices that we are using. But today, even students can test your teaching practices and come and say whatever you're telling us is not right. Because in YouTube, I interfaced with such a video and this is what it says. And you'll be ashamed. These are the digital kids of today. How do you deliver to them? We may have all the content within our heads, but does not necessarily mean we can be able to deliver to suit them. So ladies and gentlemen, as the paradigm shifts, yes, we know that students better understand their rights now. And they demand for them. They will come to administration and let them know that you are not doing right. The students want to participate actively more into their teaching than ever before. They're not interested a lot in that cram work thing, sort of thing. Many of our students, as we are aware, they are ubiquitous in nature. We are teaching students who are at a distance. Some are in whatever countries and things of that kind. And therefore, we don't expect them to be taught in the same traditional way. We have the technology with us right now. You're having a smart mobile phone that is more powerful than the computer which took the first man to the moon. So what do you expect to use that mobile phone for? The classrooms are more innovative than ever before. More innovative. So we need classrooms that allow more of problem solving. Classrooms that allow more collaboration, that allow more communication with teachers and students, students to students. This is what the new paradigm shift is requiring us of. So we need to really be mindful of whatever is happening in our teaching environments. Apologies for the short silence. I was dealing with something here. Okay. So colleagues, what we need to have with us is already portrayed by some of the great people of this era. Gandhi once said, we must be the change we want to see in the world. So today, probably if you've not been doing this, you need to probably change for the better. Alvin also said, again, I repeat this. This is very critical. If you cannot unlearn, and relearn again, then you are not fit for the 21st century. Many teachers have gone back to class to be able to fit into the 21st century. And I think this is why the forum is supporting many of the institutions so that they can get into this 21st century. So, what is your role as a teacher? We are aware that a teacher who is interested in the reform is one who will work so hard by maintaining a certain way of doing things. If they're books, if it's content, but at least they know is what will provide a good education for their students. And again, is one who will know that I'm going to use a lot of variety of different things, provide resources, different resources, but with one main goal of providing for the student anywhere they are, what we call ubiquitously. This is your role as a teacher within this century. That the student does not necessarily need to come right on ground to be able to learn. They can be anywhere and learning can take place. So we need to transform into this sort of the 21st century teacher. Yes, institutions may not be so prepared for us, but the conditions available are pushing us towards that direction. It is true that your institutions may not know your strength. And it's true that many people may actually feel that our educational systems across the world are either getting into a decline. People, when they try to move into the online, they're saying that, oh, there is no bad teaching happening online and all that. But when it's what they're doing is what is not right. We have so many of staff members, teachers who are unwilling to change. And that's why when they are pushed to go and move into the new era, they would rather even scan their books where they wrote their content in pen and simply dump it onto either learning management system or something. They are unwilling to change. There's so many outdated learning methodologies. All these are still prevailing within our institutions, but we need to first understand them and then let them go. We unlearn them and learn new things that will take us forward. We do not know even if tomorrow we are going to be faced by another more serious pandemic than even COVID. Our countries may be faced with war. Does it mean education cannot continue? I think it can continue. But we need to move into the era that can allow all this to happen. Our populations are increasing, more students are coming on board. Our institutions are remaining the same. And therefore we cannot accommodate all the students physically on campuses. So what do? So I think the direction we are taking is the right one, and we just need to move forward and have it. So colleagues, after giving you a bit of some basics where we are coming from and heading into the right direction, now we need to understand clearly what is this pedagogy, ICT pedagogy we want to really jump into. that we are going to see in the afternoon, we shall go into the real ingredients of this pedagogy. So pedagogy is just the art of education, science and art of education. But what we know, that effective pedagogical practices will always promote the well-being of, one, the student, the teachers, and the school community. When the students are being well taught by the teachers, definitely the institution will be high up there because you'll be delivering in the best way possible. It will do a lot in the institution, increase revenue, increase students' enrollment, and so many and so forth. But the good pedagogy also improves the teacher's confidence and also contributes to their sense of purpose for being at the school. Why would a school contain you when you're doing the wrong things, when you're not delivering to their expectations? I think every institution would want to hold on to those people who are doing it in the best way possible. Good pedagogy aligns goals, activities, and assessments so that there is a balanced learning process. We shall see a lot of this when we come into the learning object concept. How do we balance all this? How do we put the goals and activities and assessments together so that the student can learn very systematically and in the best way possible? We shall see it either in day 2 or day 3. Good pedagogy builds what we call community confidence in the quality of learning and teaching within an institution. When the community gets to know that whatever you are doing out there, this is why some of you may actually leave your institutions and decide to take your kids to learn from a university like Cambridge, MIT, Liverpool, and learn electronically when the students are locally here in their home countries. Because you have the confidence in the quality. But surprisingly, when they're teaching the same course units that you have within your same institution. So good pedagogy is very key in terms of teaching and learning. And therefore, we need to be able to understand it clearly and how we move into that. It's the art, the way of doing things. So it is important for us to know that ICT to educators is very key. But it's not ICT that is going to push itself into the classroom. It is the teachers knowing what to do. And therefore, as a teacher going there to develop content, the first thing you need to have with you is that you need to be able to know your subject matter and at a deep level. So this subject matter is what you will apply the art. You will apply this pedagogical knowledge onto it, and you are able to deliver in the best way possible. So knowing this pedagogy, it will help you really understand certain levels, the depth of your content, and what you can apply at a particular depth, which you will not apply at a certain depth. It will help you understand what you roll out and how you roll it out and when you roll it out. By understanding that, you have actually gained the art of teaching and learning. Why would I enter into a classroom, an e-classroom, and I start with a QA session? This is an art. Why would I start with that? When the students have never interfaced with this particular module at all, what do you expect from the students? I can also start with it when I want to gain an understanding of the depth of the prior knowledge these students have, what they bring with them to class. But it's a technique, and you start them with a discussion forum. Those of you who have had online classes taken before from different universities, one of the things they usually do to break the ice of the different participants, because you're where you are training from across the entire world, what they usually do, they have a discussion forum. It's one of the things they do. Many of them, they usually do it. Break the ice. Tell us about yourself, what you already know, what you want to expect out of this. And people would say lots of things. One, it helps the trainer get to understand what is clearly brought in by these students as they come to this class. And this is why when you get into the e-learning system in the afternoon, one of the first forums which is there is a discussion forum, trying to get you to tell us your expectations and all sorts of things out of this. So the art is very, very important. What do you start with? You may be teaching halfway the class, you switch to completely something different. You bring another technique to support you in explaining the concept even much clearer. If the class is dull and it is you who is actually talking alone for 30, 40 minutes, you can decide to completely change the mode. You bring a different art and you actually split the students into groups and you allocate them questions to discuss amongst themselves. At the end of the session, they will have covered all what they are supposed to cover, but using a different art of doing things. This is what you really need to understand. And you need to understand it in great depth so that you can apply anything you want at any time. But what is needed for you to be an effective teacher is that you need to be able to clearly read and read and read about this course material you are going to deliver to the students. You need to know your materials in depth. You need to be able to explore within the discipline. Bring a lot of scenarios and things of that kind. You need to be able to engage your students. Delivering without engaging your students will be acting like what I'm doing right now. You're just talking and talking. You don't know if people are out there sleeping. Colleagues, are you out there or I'm talking to my computer?
We are there.
No, we're listening to you, sir.
We are listening.
We are listening, sir.
We are listening. We are here.
Yeah.
We are listening.
Yes, you know, it is a
We
case.
following you.
It is a case that you may find that you are alone talking and talking. So we need to engage. You need to be able to engage with your students. Otherwise, it becomes so much monotonous. And they know that, this lecturer, this teacher, this is how he does his things. And, you know, it gets boring. You pull out all your tools. You saw the other teacher having a lot of these skill sets. Pull out any of them and use it. Practice and practice and practice. The more you venture into the digital era, if you don't practice, you are going to lag behind, because new tools come on board every day. And these digital students get onto these tools much faster than us. So you need to be able to practice. You don't have to go into a Zoom session because it's now what is being utilized, and even you don't know how to switch on your video, take off your video, and you don't know how to safeguard yourself against displaying your information that you don't want to be seen. You just need to practice all this. You need to be able to produce your content in a variety of forms. You may be stuck at home and you cannot be able to do what? To move, to go and teach your students. Can you create a podcast immediately and share it on WhatsApp? Because you're aware the students are on WhatsApp. Create a small file called a podcast for your training session for I don't know how many minutes. Share with them. Students will be so happy, receive it on their mobile phone as they're seated down a tree eating an apple and they're listening to your podcast and learning is happening. This is the era where all that happens. Therefore, as a teacher, you need to be able to prepare yourself so well. When we talk about content development, content alone will not deliver to you the learning you need the students to have. However much good content you have, you need to prepare yourself when you are going to deliver that content. You need to understand your entire syllabus. You need to study your available curriculum. And if you do not have it, find it. Where is it and what does it entail? Is it a curriculum I'm going to cover in 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 15 weeks? And therefore, how do I prepare to have sessions which are 12 in number, all 10 in number, all 6 in number? This requires you to plan and prepare well. The time you have on you, the time you are going to give to students in real time. For example, if you are going to engage them in a Zoom class, how much time are you going to give them? If you have 2 hours or 3 hours of teaching, are you going to give a Zoom session for 2 hours? Very unacceptable. If you're not going to give the 2 hours, then what are those other online activities you're going to engage them in? Are you going to dive into a chat session, a discussion forum, a group work, online group session? What is that you're going to do? All these come with preparation as part of your content. So we shall see in the coming days that as you prepare the content, you'll decide and say, okay, for this particular content, I'll have a discussion forum. And it's going to be a general discussion forum about this topic. After delivering a Zoom session for 45 minutes, allow the students to go further, dive into a discussion for them to understand clearly more about what we are talking about. And then the following day, you can go into a completely different thing. But you've prepared and planned well. So you know what online activities go and link up with your content. So if we don't talk about these online activities and you have only the digital content with you, it's not a comprehensive content you've actually developed because it doesn't have activities. And teaching without activities, it's all about you talking and not allowing students to engage. So it's not student-centered. You are still in the traditional way of teacher-centered. So we need to be able to plan that. Do you tell the story before you start so that students can follow you well? If you're using a PowerPoint the way I'm using, how do you put it together? You find certain PowerPoints people are just dumping on there. Yes, you are in a Zoom class and somebody, the PowerPoint you are using is just a paragraph of so, and people are just reading rather than listening to you explain the concepts. So you need to create that content that requires you to explain more to the students than them reading what you have actually put out there. As a good teacher, when you go online, avoid what we call cramming your slides, because you can get a shock. Power goes off and you completely become disoriented. You don't know where you stopped. You don't know where to begin from. You are completely, you need to be that lecturer, even if it's a traditional classroom. You need to be very flexible. You need to have your content on grip so that any interruption does not affect you. You may be online as a student, say, please, I have a question. Does it mean that you're completely going to get grounded? You need to know where you stopped and carry on and move from there to your next content. So this is all about preparation. If you don't engage students, as I already said, it's a problem. You need to be able to engage students as much as possible. You need to be able to mix. Sometimes people feel that the topic 1, I have to present it in week 1, and then up to 10. No. You can decide to present topic 1 and 2 together in a session. And then topic 3 completely, you allow the students to go virtually and they discuss a topic as you are there as a guide. Create new ways of doing things. When students get bored and get to know how you do things, you lose them. There's nothing new you're adding on to them. They will as well go to the online learning management system, find the content there, and they can learn. But if they know every time they come into a class, there's something different that you are going to apply, then you'll always have these students coming back to attend these sessions. The moment you engage, for example, in a discussion forum, is one of the activities you've decided to engage students in. You need to ask questions that need comprehension. The moment you bring these closed questions, students will be like answering a yes or no. It doesn't really allow them to comprehend. Pose questions that are open-ended. As a teacher, you need to be able to pick interest in what they are doing virtually there. I know it may seem like so much work, but not all the time you're going to be on the computer there. After 2 hours, you can pass the discussion forum the way you check your WhatsApp. By the way, does it have to be an LMS? We can actually have the chat session, the discussion forum via our WhatsApp group. What is the problem? Your interest is for students to be able to gain an understanding of what you're teaching. Do the unexpected for them to continue loving what you're doing. Make connection to the students' comments. Respond so that they get to know you are there. You are supporting them. The moment they don't see you there, they will see this is an absent landlord. And therefore, whatever they discuss doesn't. And you'll find that they go off tangent. So you need to keep them in the straight line, keep there. When they see you posted one or two things, they will know, oh, the lecturer is there. And make your rules straight. If somebody comes on there and says something that is not right, as a teacher, you have the authority to come in and say, hey, Jude, this is your last warning. If you do mention anything of this kind again, I'll put you off the discussion forum. They will see your authority, but not utilizing them to stop them in continuing with their discussion. Let them be free. Don't over monopolize their discussion, but just be there to make sure that they are on the right course as they discuss. Group work, it's something that will be common and students love it. It's a good way of them to really acquaint themselves without really having the teacher pushing. You just need to have indicators on knowing that these students are learning. But what it will do, it will give the opportunity, even the shy learners, to be participatory into the learning. You'll be able to go there and give feedback. Groups are very, just imagine group work within a physical traditional classroom, seated in all corners, and you go there walking from one group to another. The same here, but this is being done virtually and randomly distributing these people across the different groups. A good way of doing it. And people are doing it at their comfort, under a tree, taking a cup of coffee somewhere. So they're doing it at their comfort. So you need to have explicit instructions to the students. Avoid having them in big numbers in a group. 4 or 5 is enough. That will actually mean that everybody will participate. So you need to be very clear to them that participatory within the groups is mandatory. And that will give them a sense of belonging, that, oh, I have to up my game, otherwise I'll get trouble here. So we need to do more of that. We need to get them to understand that they think differently. They come to this group with the prior knowledge, which is different. They are different. They are diverse. And therefore, they need to appreciate each other, contribution towards whatever they are discussing. Once they get to know this, I'm telling you, the students will feel that sort of belonging. They will contribute to each other. And they will learn. Have deadlines. You can never have these group works, discussions forever. If it's for 2 days, make sure it closes after 2 days. And therefore, it will require everybody to have submitted in something by the 2 days. So you need to really keep them sticking to timelines. Never forget assessments, you'll have to give them. There's a session where we are going to be looking at online assessments as part of the online activities that will be part of the content you're going to develop. Providing all these sorts of content without any assessment doesn't make sense. You never know whether somebody has learned or not. So also you need to have it as part of the content development process, that as you deliver a subtopic, there's something to assess. Or as you deliver subtopic 1, subtopic 2, then there's something to assess the subtopic 1 and 2, as we shall see when we are learning the learning object concept. We need to be able to test our students, whether they learned or not. So I just want to now dive into a bit of giving you an example of some of these standards that are being utilized, that when you pick on it, it can help you as you think about developing your future online class. You're aware that your module you are going to digitally develop, it has already a course overview. This course overview should be able to describe the aims, learning outcomes, prerequisites, if there are any, the assessment strategies, and the summary. The students want to know this. Don't assume that they do not know, they do not want to know how you're going to assess them. They want to know. They want to know the general activities that you are going to use. Allow them to understand that to be able to participate in a discussion forum, you need to be a member of that group. Because online, you can create discussion forums which are restricted, that you cannot move within discussion forum and go to the other one. They need to know if there are any available books, websites, papers, and so on to use. And they need to know whether you are going to use a case study, scenarios, for the different topics you are going to. Let them know so that they are expectant of what you are going to utilize for doing ABCD. It's all about preparations and not hiding anything from the students. Because at the end of the day, what you are interested in is the student being able to learn in the best way possible. And you as a teacher, that's your job. One of the other standards, you can decide if you have your content distributed across 12 weeks. So what is that you're going to put every week? I'm just giving examples here. Am I going to give my overview and tell the students of what is this is all about, what it entails and all that, and present them the topic that is going to be? It could be that the content is in form of PowerPoint slides. It could be video content. It could be audio content. It could be a PDF content. It could be a website you are focusing them onto. It could be an open resource content. This is what you've decided to do for them. It could be a Zoom class that is going to be real time you are giving them. And then also I'm availing them some referencing material. There is a good course I've seen at MIT, and I feel that if you focused on following this course, you'll know more about this particular topic. And you present it to them, let them follow it. It could be a discussion forum you've staged under that topic to consider, and it's going to take probably a full week. It could be a chat session that you've staged that, yes, we did a Zoom class on Monday, but then on a Wednesday, you start a chat session about the same topic. Probably your hours were split into two. Instead of giving you 2 hours at the same day, said on Monday you have 1 hour, on Wednesday you have another hour. Then Monday you go for a Zoom. And probably you take through students on what real time. And then on a Wednesday, you decide to use a chat session. You are there and you are chatting with your students on the topic. And at the end of the week, would you want to really assess them? Or you would want to keep this assessment until they've covered another topic and another topic so that you assess them after 3 topics? What is that you want to do as a teacher? Assessments, as I said, we can have them as combined, and we shall see quite a lot of this when it comes to the learning object concept. But what is that you want to do? If it gets to the chat room, this can be messy with the students. And you, if you're not prepared well, if you are going to use a chat session, when do you go in and when do you go out? As a teacher, it is always important to go in early enough so that you, on time, you start the session. People get to know that this class starts promptly. You use the initial minutes before the time to welcome the students, try to really bond with them and do all sorts of things. You need to get the latecomers aware. Once they come in, when the session has started, what do? Just dive into the classroom and continue learning. And continue learning. Okay? It's all about what you do. Once they come in and they start disorganizing the class, it's wrong. So we need to be able to do all things right so that those who came into class the first time, they are not disappointed because of the new entrants. What colors do they, what text do they use, how respectful they are in the class, all that has to happen. The language they use, if it's official language, English, let them know that this is what they are supposed to use. And let them stick to the topic, all the content you are discussing, if you decided to move into that direction. Okay? So, what you need to understand for the forums, if you dive into utilizing the forum activities and all that, definitely do not expect a real-time response because it's not synchronous. It's not real time. Once people post, they will come back after 1 hour to post again or to read what was posted. So have rules around your discussion forum. So these are examples that you'll take on and utilize as you move along with your what? We are teaching. This is all planning your content. It's not that we are discussing them for the sake of, because it's part of the activities you're going to include as part of the content. Okay. I just want to give an example on, for example, if you are using an LMS, what do? You can have certain guides based on you as a lecturer. How do you manage your time in there? If you have deadlines, how do you specifically, to the point, post them in there? Students can really be clever. You may post something vague and they say, but we didn't understand it. If you simply say 12 p.m., it can meet midnight, it can meet, for them, they can say for us, we didn't know whether we thought it was midnight. So we need to be very clear because they can be also clever. But remember, our interest is for them to be able to learn very, very well. You need to declare the clear directions and be consistent in what you do within your content. Be very consistent. Never allow a 48-hour span without responding. If you created a discussion forum and the students want to see you there, don't spend 2 days, 3 days without going there. Be there so that they can know you are actively with them. Try to encourage them to remain on the right track. If possible, use separation of groups to encourage smaller groups of learning. This will help a lot. Restrict access where possible. Create as many scenarios as possible, scenario-based activities as possible. Don't give the same scenario to a group, another group, and you have 3 groups. If you want them to learn, so that out of this class, they will go discussing and will bring different scenarios, actually teaching the same concept. Because students are together, they work together. So they will be able to share after your session. So what is that new they will share as they come out of their groups? Is it the same information? That will not be interesting. You would want them to engage even further beyond the classroom. So we need to be able to do that. Colleagues, my network is a bit so that it doesn't get me moving very fast. But colleagues, I just wanted us to know, many of us have actually dived into now using video conferencing for the Zoom, Microsoft Teams and all that. But what we need to really understand is that how do we use them? There are quite a variety of them. There are many out there. It's part of the content, how you're going to deliver your content. Are you using Zoom? Are you using Google Meeting? What are you? There are quite a variety. The question is, you need to be able to understand exactly what you do when you are there. It is getting messy, especially to people who are not used to using these particular softwares. Okay, it is getting messier, and we need to be able to do things the right way. So what do we need? We need to be very careful. We don't need to be careless. We need to be cautious. These training softwares can lead us into trouble as teachers. As we plan to deliver our digital content, now using a Zoom technology, for example, using a Microsoft Teams technology, using a GoToMeeting technology, we need to be very careful. There are certain etiquettes that we need to have with us. And I'm going to go through these etiquettes in the next 14 minutes because I'm left with only 14 minutes to finish. So I'm going to be a bit faster. You need to be able to prepare well if you're heading into this class, online classroom. So prepare well, know the time, have the material. If you're going to share anything, know what to share. Know that you have good internet connectivity that you're going to utilize. Check your audio and video settings all the time before you head into that. You'll get surprised that you may talk for 1 hour, but you're talking to yourself and the audio settings are not right and the students are not hearing you, and none of the students raised the issue or posted in the class, in the chat room, that they are not hearing you. And after 1 hour, you notice that you talked for 1 hour, but you talked to yourself. Amazing. So you need to prepare well. You need to be able to dress appropriately. As a teacher, heading into a classroom to teach students, when you are actually dressed like this, it will be very, very surprising and disturbing. Do not dress unprofessionally. You should dress as if you're going to that normal classroom you would be offering in that traditional way. Keep it professional. Understand the environment you are actually doing it from. If you're a lecturer, you're going to deliver.
Prof, I think your microphone is muted.
Mine?
No. Prof, we can hear you.
We can hear you well.
I think, Fiona, your internet is not good.
Hello? Professor Jude, your microphone is muted.
No, it's not muted. Prof. Rubega, mic is open. We are hearing him.
I think, Fiona, your network is not good. Please, if you are using Airtel, switch to MTN.
It's Fiona who is not actually listening.
Please advise her.
She has a problem maybe with her, maybe microphone or anything. Let me talk to her privately and see.
Okay. So colleagues, what I was saying, be mindful of the environment. If students get to see where you're presenting from, and they see this such an office, they will actually know this person is as disorganized as their office. The picture you portray there is very, very, very important. It's a Zoom class. It's a real-time class. And remember, you are creating that digital print that will always be there. Even after 10 years, they will come and access. You see, all what we are talking about here is now already on YouTube. Now imagine it's going to permanently remain there, and you have a room where you are presenting from in this particular form. So be mindful, prepare well. As I said, when you move into there, as you need to be able to control your classroom, have the rights to be able to mute and unmute where possible. It is very, very bad when you have all this noise coming out from microphones and all sorts of things in a class session. Please have control of your class. When you are speaking, please make sure you are audible. The settings should be right, and people should be able to hear you. We've just noted a scenario where Fiona could not hear me, thinking that my microphone is off, is muted, but when this is actually the one who is muted. So it's all about the internet you have and the like. As I said, keep it professional, avoid scandals. Going into the class, you've put on your video, you are teaching content, and you're having this apple or the banana you are eating as you're teaching your students. It's unprofessional. Have time to eat and have time to do your professional job. Flirting with students, shouting at students, making all these racist or tribalistic or sexist attacks to the students and doing all sorts of things. It's not right, and will keep a permanent digital print there after your class. And you will not erase it. It will permanently be there. So as you prepare your content, know and understand that where I'm going to offer my real-time sessions, I need to be prepared for them. You don't want to fall into trouble. You need to be able to protect sensitive information, that the moment you decide to share your screen, you're not sharing the other browser where probably you were watching pornography last night and you forgot to close it, and you know, your students will be shocked the moment you share to them something and they say, oh, what is our lecturer or teacher trying to tell us? And to you, it will be a completely permanent damage done. Because you not erase it on YouTube where it has been posted. Prepare, prepare, prepare appropriately. You've seen that before, where there was a bit of a problem, and it's a permanent, and people can access it even now. I just want to apologize, but show you one scenario that we need to be mindful about. It's on out there. It's out there. It is permanently there. This is why I'm telling you, it is a digital print that you leave out there. Okay? So this happened a long time ago, but we keep on referencing it to try to show people that be mindful that the moment you complete your class session, you need to switch off your video. You need to completely switch off and close your meeting. Otherwise, when you don't close your meeting, your class session, you'll go into your home issues, and this is what will be displayed. And to the students, it will be a permanent problem. So it's a problem. It's a problem, but damage done. Damage done. If you do the right thing, ladies and gentlemen, in my 6 minutes remaining, you'll be able to get the student out, and the student will get a lot of benefits. They will become that confident learner. A confident learner that has a lot of this onto them. A wide range of ICT genetic skills that they can apply them in anywhere. Able to learn using new skills, and so on and so forth. They can be able to use technology ubiquitously, creatively, because you've prepared them. You've opened that up to them, and they can use it. Once they're e-confident learners, and once they graduate, they will become an e-confident workforce that you as a teacher, you'll be able to be happy with and forever be grateful with. They will be able to use ICT effectively at a personal and professional level, have high levels of information literacy. They will be able to identify potential approaches for use of ICT in their teaching and learning, because they are an e-confident workforce. This is what we need to do for our learners if we want them to be an e-confident workforce. And once they're an e-confident workforce, they will definitely transform into an e-confident leader. They are the leaders of tomorrow. They will become the new lecturers, the new trainers of the next students who will come in the future. And therefore, they should be able to do all sorts of things by themselves. They should be able to demonstrate effective use and application of ICT within their leadership roles. That when they go to present, they will confidently present as leaders out there. We have seen our leaders today that even going to present on a PowerPoint, on a Zoom, everything has to be done for them. They don't know even where to click and all sorts of things. Ladies and gentlemen, I can talk and talk and talk, but I would want to say thank you for listening. And I think for this session, we close it there. We wanted to really give you this background, prepare you for the next coming days, to transform you into that confident trainer or teacher that you are going to be in the days coming ahead of us. You never know when another pandemic hits us, and the only alternative we have to use is the online education. Thank you, and I would want to stop there. And if there are any questions, if there are none, we shall have to break, as we were noted on the program, and we are back at 2 to take on another session. I thank you once again. Francis, you are there to moderate that? All.
Yes, I'm there, and would like to invite maybe a question. Yes, I can see Lydia. Lydia, please, can you ask a question? Yeah, unmute, then you can ask.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was. I'm not going to ask a question. It was an error.
Okay, no problem. Do we have anyone who would like to ask a question or make a comment? Yes, Deborah.
Thank you so much, Professor, for your presentation. My question is about the use of WhatsApp in teaching. Many universities are discouraging it because of the issues of hardship in monitoring. How is the class recorded? The students that miss it, how do they get it? So I would like to get more light about the talk he made about teaching using WhatsApp. Thank you. I submit.
Thank you, Deborah. Next, we have Dr. Futu.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Otto. I think I have two questions. And the first one is, for example, looking at what we just experienced with Fiona at a point not being able to hear Professor Lubega. Now, the question is, at what stage does an institution say they are beginning to roll out e-learning as a form of teaching and learning in an institution, knowing that, for example, the internet connectivity is a key component of the e-learning approach? And the second question is this. You have colleague lecturers who feel that when you go fully on the e-learning platform, one, there is an aspect where the lecturer is seen not to be relevant anymore, or the other side of it where the student rather sees the lecturer as not being relevant anymore. That is my question. How do you convince a lecturer that even when he rolls out fully on an e-learning platform, he is still relevant? Or how do you convince a student that they should not think that the lecturer is not relevant in an e-learning era? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cyril. Prof, maybe we can take one more from Cyril. Deborah, is that your old hand or you still have a question?
Thank you.
Yes, Cyril, go ahead.
Thank you. I think the last speaker just asked what I wanted to ask, the issue of internet connectivity, knowing the peculiarity we have in our country, because last time we have tried to use this e-learning and the students complain bitterly about network connectivity and the package, which have been a bottleneck to our situation here. And the other one, the prof have asked about it. So if you can address on this issue, I think I will be very happy. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, colleagues that have asked questions. I will start with the one on WhatsApp. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know that the talk about mobile learning started as early as 2000. What you see people are asking for here in our countries, long time took place in other countries. We've seen social media being utilized for teaching and learning. And if you go online, there's quite a lot of information that has been written there. The issue is, how do you use it? How do you plan and prepare to use it? Having rules and guidelines on how to use that is very critical, because remember, the digital students, you need to find them where they are. And one place to find them is in social media. So how do you utilize social media to find these students? This is why in some universities abroad, Facebook and things of the WhatsApp have become part of the teaching tools they have with them. Is the ability to prepare and plan on how to use them is what is important. But they are very, very effective. If a student knows that this area is for discussing only educational material, and I have a penalty once I post anything there which is not of this kind, I'm telling you, students are obedient. Nothing will be posted there. once they know there is a penalty for this. So it is we, the art and the skill, the art of teaching and learning that we deploy is what is important for us. Second question, at what stage that will the institutions get to know that they are right, they have the potential to roll out and all that? Ladies and gentlemen, different institutions are at different level. But what we need to understand is that, one, government will never be able to cater for everyone. We need to transform ourselves into what we want to be. There are so many innovations that institutions have put in place. Let's take an example. Some institutions have actually said, okay, on the fees, we are cutting off technology fee. Students, please use the technology fee to find internet bandwidth. And the students have been happy and studying. And institutions have said, okay, every month to our lecturers, we give you bundle over this much, $10, $20. And the lecturers have been happy and delivering to their expectations. There are so many models. We just need to sit as institutions and find what model suits us. It's not a copy and paste. Your infrastructure within the institution, is it ready? Have a generic answer that goes to everybody? No. I think we need to evaluate ourselves internally and see, are we ready? And where we are not ready, how can we leapfrog to be able to get ready? The last question. Lecturers being irrelevant. Ladies and gentlemen, you can as well be irrelevant within that traditional classroom. And you find out of the 100 students, you are having only 20 students. Where is the 80? They feel you are irrelevant, you are boring. You don't have anything to add to them. They can as well pick the content you gave to your students in class and read and be able to pass. It goes back to the art. The science and art of teaching and learning. I'm telling you, you can be very, very relevant online to your classroom. Remember, you moderate the entire online classroom. Let's take an example. That the learning that has to happen, one has to be via real time, either it's a Zoom session, whether it's a chat session, whether it's a discussion forum. And these you offer as the week rolls out, as the weeks roll out. The students will know, I cannot acquire this knowledge apart from when I've attended that class. And therefore they will be there. They know if I don't attend the class, there is a penalty for me not attending because the system keeps track of everybody who has attended. You set the rules. I'm telling you, you can be even more relevant within an online class than a traditional classroom. And you control the engagement that goes on within your online classroom. That will be one of the best classroom you can have. So it is a mentality within our teachers. They are stuck within their memories and they are refusing to let go. If they can't let go, they will have empty classes. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for the morning session. I think we don't have to eat up in people's lunchtime anymore. And we have to let them go and we'll be back at 1. Over to you, Francis. Thank you.
On that note, I would like to say thank you very much. You, Professor Jude Lupege, and our participants. So can we then break and return at 2 o'clock? That is in 49 minutes time. Thank you.
Thank you.